All right, Sherry. Well, thanks for hopping on with me again. Appreciate it. So, first question for you is, can you take me back to the moment when you realized that you wanted to do something differently with your life?
Uh, well, first of all, let me explain to you that I own my own business.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I've had my retail store for, well, fixing to be 24 years. I actually started as a mail order in 1989. So I've already, been doing that sort of thing. But
Mhm.
I also turned 64 in March. And so my husband and I got to looking at it. When I was single, I figured, hey, I'll keep my store forever. I can be in here as an old lady going, I don't care. Right. But, my husband and I, actually today is our 14th wedding anniversary.
Oh,
And
congratulations.
thank you. And all the kids are out of the house and got to looking at it, and we got to looking at our social security and stuff and realized that we can't live off of that. So we started
Mhm.
trying to figure out, is there something else we can do? Not really actively looking at that point, but just going, hey, we need to think about this. Otherwise, we're going to be literally working until we die, and somebody's going to have to do something with all of this. And of course, my business, I help people. So it's
Mhm.
something I enjoy doing.
Right.
Is, my goal in life every day when I get up is to change at least one person's life for the better in some manner. And I tell people, if I help 10 today, it doesn't mean I get the next 9 days off.
Mhm.
Tomorrow I get up with the same goal. And so one day I was on Facebook, and one of my many chosen children out there who sells real estate in
Mhm.
Arizona, um, I kept noticing these little weird posts she was making, and it didn't have to do with selling houses. And finally one day I said, what are you doing? And I'm thinking she's gotten involved in something where she's getting scammed.
Mhm.
And she was like, well, I just got in it and I was waiting until I learned more about it to see if it could help you without causing you more work before I said anything. Just give me the information of what you're doing. I'm a retired PI. So I'm like, let me check it out.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I just want to make sure you're not getting
Yeah.
scammed. Okay. I'm trying to protect her. And so I told my husband about it too. So, he was researching, I researched. We spent a week and a half to 2 weeks,
Mhm.
both, researching. And the only stuff I found was really BS, you know? And so it was like, I can't find anything bad about this.
Uh-huh.
And, I found Michelle, and I'm like going, you know, this woman seems legit,
Mhm.
but people can see him anyway on the internet, right?
Right.
And so, but everything I saw, and then I started watching other videos, and I saw I can't remember who she is. It was a nurse who had 3 kids, small kids, and all of that, and her story. And I said, I think this thing is legit, Paul, and it's only $900. you know, which to a lot of people go, oh, only $900. That's a
Yeah.
lot of money. It is, but it isn't,
Right.
because I also, I knew there were lower amounts, but I also know me. And if I went in for $100, I'm going to put in $100 worth of work.
Mhm.
Okay. Because it's only $100,
Right.
you know? And then too, like I said, I like to help people. So if I went in at a lower amount, I can't offer people the best or the top thing. And so we talked about it, because we always, anything over about $100 we talk about before we spend the money.
Right.
And so, you know, we said, let's do it. It's one time investment, it's not like it's a monthly thing or
Mhm.
whatever, or yearly thing even. And so, we did. And it took me a little bit really to fully get started, because right after I signed up, my stepmother, who had dementia, ended up in
Mhm.
the hospital, and she was there for 2.5 weeks. So I'm having to go 3 trips a day minimum to the hospital, because I've got to make sure she's taken care of. And from there, she went into a nursing home and hospice, and then she passed away in December. And I started the end of September, and she passed away in December. So I was doing stuff.
Mhm.
I've got my stuff set up, and I was making some videos, and I do not do TikTok. I don't like TikTok. I do throw some stuff on there once in a while, but I am not a Michelle where I can grab that phone and da-da-da, it's just,
Right.
I have other reasons for not liking TikTok.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, it gets into a whole nother thing. But it's the whole reason I started my YouTube video years ago. It was in counteracting of that.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, um, just so you know, I have a metaphysical store. So that section of TikTok makes me angry because it's a bunch of fake stuff.
Right, right.
So anyway, and so really it was about the first year that I really was getting in my groove with it. And of course, I'd already joined the Mastermind as soon as it came out. And of course, with Mike, I resonated more. Of course, he does YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And just the way I love Michelle and her energy is amazing. It's
Absolutely.
just not me. I'm more, matter of fact, this is it. This is the way it is. So I resonated a little more with Mike. And so I've enjoyed the Mastermind part of it because
Mm-hmm.
it helped me more. Because I tried doing some of those 3 content things and I would be like this. I grabbed my phone, only got seconds, and it's just blah, 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 and then it sounds stupid. So
No,
I'm
that's
just
okay.
more
Yeah.
like,
That
I'm a
is
more laid back, matter of fact person, because it's what I teach all the time. So I mean, this is what I do, and it's how I teach things.
right.
So anyway, and then we started the community thing, and that's where I actually finally started making money because I'd only made $200,
Mm-hmm.
which hey, only, but that was $200. I was excited.
Right.
Okay, I had at least made something, right? Because I had 2 $100 sales. Got the community started, had it, had it for about a month, and I started putting my classes that I teach or used to teach in person in there. And that's where, I actually started making money. And a couple of weeks ago, I made my first $900 sale in the
Nice.
legacy program.
Congrats. That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
seen
so
that. I
yeah.
seen
So
that in the wins. So that was awesome.
yeah, I was excited. So, I would like for there to be more of them. And,
Mm-hmm.
of course I'm working on my content and I made some shifts in that because Michelle S. and Jen,
Mm-hmm.
because she was doing one of our things one day, and both of them were like, why are you trying to have a separate YouTube channel for this? Because you're uncomfortable. I see your videos. You're uncomfortable. It's not you. Why don't you merge it with what you do?
Absolutely.
And I, so I got on a private chat with Jen and I was like, but I don't want to offend people in the community because, you know, most of them are highly Christian and they,
Mm-hmm.
do all their stuff. And that's not me. And when I start talking about metaphysical stuff and, because I try to be considerate of other people's
Right.
feelings, her response to me was, are you more concerned with what people in the community are going to think or say or whatever, or making money? I went, thank you. I needed the permission that it was okay
Right.
for me to put this stuff out there, because we were posting our videos, for Mike to look at and stuff like
Uh-huh.
that. And so it just, it was one of those things. And the cool thing about it is I found out there's more people in the community like me. And so we've
Absolutely.
actually, made connections. So, but yeah, so it makes the videos easier for me because I'll go at spiritual entrepreneurs and people just trying to buy the products and that need, this. So that's a lot of where I've kind of shifted to.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Yeah, no, I love that. So, obviously you've been a woman in business for a while and, done it years. So it's right. You're not starting from scratch as far as, that aspect goes, but as far as like
Right.
the digital, right, the tools, different tools that you use, things like that. What do you think was different about you then compared to now since joining that DG community?
I guess part of it is learning to make that shift from, because I'm a face-to-face person,
Hmm.
because I started as a mail order in 1989. Okay. And I hated it because I like seeing you. I want to look in your eyes. I want to weigh what you're telling me and how much truth you're telling me before I help you. you know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and through mail or over a phone, you can't do that.
Hmm.
And so it's helped me to kind of make that shift to where instead of me having to, I guess, see in your eyes to know, to weigh out you just have to look in my eyes and weigh me out.
Right. Absolutely.
So it's more one-sided, but you still get to judge if I'm genuine or not.
Hmm.
Which I do that when I'm here, because I look people nice. That's why, here you don't see me look in the camera because I'm actually looking at you.
Right. Yeah.
you know, so, but like I say, but it's one of those things that I'm getting better with it. Because my goal is at some point in time, before Paul and I are too old to enjoy having a life. Yeah. What I thought of, what I would work towards doing is um, shifting things more towards my website for my
Okay.
store,
Hmm.
and get to where I'm not having to pay rent on a building, not having to get up and be here every day, but get it shifted more towards that. And so this is actually helping me prepare for that
Okay. Very good.
because I had a problem with that because once
Hmm.
again, I like the one-on-one, which I still do, but it's helping me to kind of gear a little bit more towards that. So,
Definitely. Okay. I love that. No, that's a good answer. So, what would you say you're most proud of accomplishing so far, or even launching within your own community?
um, well, like I said, I used to teach classes in person.
Hmm.
During COVID, I had to finish a set of classes through Zoom, and I hated it.
Yeah.
I really did. And so, of course, then I couldn't teach because of all the COVID stuff. So I took my first year classes and put it into book form, which is, it was good because that way there's people could get it everywhere. I mean,
Hmm.
I've sent books to, England and Australia and all over the place, So, but I still had people going, but we want you. Oh, I think we're, oh, there it goes. The guy froze up. But they still, they still go, but we want you. Okay. And so I thought, okay, I can do this in the community. I can do them by video. That way you still have me. And there's PDFs in there for people and all that. And so I kept talking about doing it. And so one day I went, okay, if I don't go ahead and make like an advertisement video or something, I'm not going to get this done. So
Hmm.
I went ahead, I did it, I put it out, and immediately somebody contacted me and went, okay, how do I go pay? Oh gosh, now I got to go get the video and start making videos because it's 26 classes. Okay.
Right.
So now I have to go start making videos. I mean, which is why I put it out there because I knew I'd keep putting it off because I have a lot of other stuff to do with my store. I make
Uh-huh.
all my candles and stuff, And so, but it's like almost immediately somebody wanted the classes. And they went and paid $700 for my classes. And so I was like, no, I got to start making videos now. Let me go, get started. But I was glad because I mean, that gave me that push.
Definitely.
And then I've since added a couple more classes in there. And I'm also working on some coaching stuff right now to add to it. So,
Heck yeah. No, it's great. Yeah. Well, it definitely sounds like you're staying consistent with it. That's for sure. Right. And I love that part of it too, where it's like, right, it's like you make that offer first. And then once you know that people want it, then you can start building around it. Because that's
right.
typically most of the time, that is what you're supposed to do, or a good way about it. But not only that, but it also forces you to
Uh
actually
huh.
do the work now. So it's like, oh crap, like I got these people relying on me, like they want this from me, like I got to do it now. So yeah, I
Right.
recommend that to all people for sure.
Yeah. Well, and each class, at least in the beginning, has three parts. So that's three separate videos I have
Yeah.
to do for each class. So it's not just 26 videos. So, matter of fact, I just finished editing the second part of class 15. So I'm getting there,
Yeah.
but
Hey, you're doing the work. That's awesome.
right.
So
Yeah. So
no,
it's
I
scary
love
doing
that.
it that way, but it does make you get it done.
Yeah, yeah, that it's a kick in the butt, that's for sure, but it's a great way to actually get things accomplished. So now say everything's going right for you, right? You're helping people, your community is where you want it to be. You're making the type of money that you want. What does your dream life look like 12 months from now, say?
Uh, well, we would close up my husband's mechanic shop because we have both businesses here, which
Hmm.
he only does interlock stuff now instead of really mechanic work.
Hmm.
But that's our number one goal is to close that. So that means we've got to make, from this separate from my store, about 30 to 35,000 for the year. Okay. So that's what we have to have to a consistent income to get rid of to be able to close that
Hmm.
because we still need that amount of money for paying our bills. Um, and well, with everything else. But anyway, because there's no real expense on that one other than his part of the rent or whatever. So
Right.
there's no product have to buy like there is with mine. So anyway, so that right there, so that's the number one goal, is to get that done. So he can quit having to be on his back under dashes and
Hmm.
hoods and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then our next goal is to make sure that we have enough income so that we can close 2 days a week
Hmm.
instead of one, so that it actually gives us more time. So it's kind of that's our progression.
Right.
And then from there, then we'll look at whatever our scaling is. But that's our hope for the end of the year, is to be there.
Okay. Very good. I love it. So, what's
All
one
right,
big
great.
thing
Yes,
that?
I've
Oh no, go ahead.
decided that I will
Give me a second.
do this.
Yeah, I got okay. Sorry,
No, you're
my
fine.
video finished exporting. I
Heck
forgot I
yeah.
had
Well,
it
that's
going.
good news.
Yeah,
There we
I
go.
used CapCut, so it had finished doing its
Yeah. No.
thing
Hey,
there.
yeah. It's a great. I love CapCut. CapCut is the best. So shout out to CapCut.
Oh, I love it.
So what's one thing, or it could even be multiple things that you think you've learned about yourself since starting this whole journey?
Mm. That I'm not too old to learn something new. Yeah, because it is. I mean, I'm pretty tech savvy anyway. I used to be a systems administrator
Mhm.
when I worked at one of my old jobs, and so as far as the computer stuff goes, but still, it's still a learning thing
Mhm.
with this. Um, trying to figure out how to get a message right, and because I don't. I hate used car salesmen
Yeah.
or listening to them. So I don't want to sound like one. I was editing one of my videos and I was starting it, and all of a sudden I went, that sounds like a salesman. And so I started over,
Mhm.
but it was still in there because I didn't stop.
Yeah.
But I caught, when I was editing, I heard, and then I heard it and I went, yes, that was horrible. you know, so yeah, that's just, one of those things, trying to get that message across, but also not sound like you're trying to shove something down somebody's throat or something.
Right.
It's finding that balance is a little difficult sometimes, but
Definitely. No, yeah, that's good. So, what advice would you give to someone who's maybe scared to start, or is maybe on the fence with something like this, or just hasn't even done anything remotely close to this? What's something that you would tell them if they were looking to start with something like this?
just do it. Just start. The matter of fact, the lady that bought the legacy from me, she's actually one of my customers here and kind of a friend. And so, she was like, I want to do this, but I don't know anything about it. I said, don't worry, because I will help you. I set up all her stuff for her because
Mhm.
all she had was a cell phone at the time. And I said, there's no way you can set this up on a cell phone. It's just not going to happen. And I knew she didn't have the money to be able to pay,
Right.
for tech to do it for her. And so she actually had a credit card with enough credit on it to pay for all of her stuff to get it set up. So anyway, so I got it all set up for her, and I didn't mind doing it. I've done mine a couple of times now with the upgrade to Legacy 2.0 and all that stuff. So got it all set up, and then she got her laptop, brought it to me. I set it, got everything loaded on it. And then she messaged me yesterday and she's like, I know I need to make videos and I don't really know how to start. And I said, come by the shop and I'll help you. And that's what the only thing I know to do is tell people,
Mhm.
I will help you because I can tell people how to do what Michelle does.
Mhm.
I just can't grab my phone and do it.
Yeah.
Like I said, for some reason, of course, it's that selfie thing. I've just never been a selfie person.
Mhm.
I don't really like pictures of me, a lot of times anyway. But it's one of those things. That's why when I first started making YouTube videos, years ago, I did it with Zoom on my computer, and they were
Mhm.
horrible. They're out there, but they were horrible because I was so uncomfortable seeing this big picture of me here. And I talk with my hands. So I thought I shouldn't do that. So I'm sitting on my hands. So my shoulders are doing this. Horrible. And then I see somebody say, no, people like it when they see your hands moving. Oh, well, that makes it so much easier for me. And then I graduated to a camera, then a better camera. And, so and I've gotten now, of course, mine has a little thing, it flips backwards so I can at least make sure everything's framed
Uh-huh.
up. But, I don't have to look at that anymore. I'm able to look at my camera. So it's a progression, but I can tell people, because just do this, say this, she drives a truck, you know, are you a truck driver, man or woman, and you're sick of being out on the road, is what I'm going to help her with.
Right. Yeah,
You
definitely.
know?
No,
Yeah.
yeah, that's it's
I can coach somebody in doing it better than I can do it myself.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and that tends to be the case with some people. And I love what you said too. It's just getting started. It's just do it, right? It's like don't let that fear keep you from doing something, right? Because number one, if you do let it keep you from doing something is regret, right? That's the biggest thing
Mhm.
is that you're gonna have, right? And then you'll start thinking of the what ifs, what could have been, what could I have had if I did this, right? So it's like even if it doesn't work out for you, it's like
Mhm.
at least now right? There's not a
Mhm.
regret or anything in there. It's like at least I tried the dang thing and it wasn't for me, which is okay.
Right.
So, last question for you, Sherry, is, and am I saying that right, Sherry? Is that right?
Yes, you are
Okay, I just
pronouncing
wanted
it
to be sure. I'm like,
perfect.
I've been
Thank you.
calling her
So,
Sherry this whole time, and
yes.
what if I'm wrong?
Oh, I would have corrected you early on. Don't worry, because people they do Shari and Shari and all
Yeah,
this
because
stuff.
I
It drives
see it,
me
it's spelled
insane.
Shri, right?
No, Shari. Yeah,
Shari.
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
Sherry.
And so I was like, oh man, am I going to say this right or am I going to mess it up? But no,
Nope,
okay,
you did
cool.
perfect. Thank
All
you.
righty. Well, that's awesome. So, last question for you is what do you now know is possible since joining the DG community?
I guess that well, I've always been a person that knows that I can do anything I set my mind to
Mhm.
because I have. And thanks to a stepmother that would tell me that girls didn't do certain things. So to prove her wrong, I went out and did everything that girls didn't normally do. So, but it's just one of those things that I have gotten sales. My community is growing. People are buying the classes, so since joining, because there for several months, I was like going, yeah, okay, maybe I just wasted $1,000, and maybe I wasted some more money when I
Yeah.
joined Mastermind. And so, because, when things aren't working, you feel that way. It's human nature.
Absolutely. Hmm.
And, but once things finally started going, then, am I making the big money yet like I was hoping to by now? No, but it's going. It's getting there. So I know that it works. I mean, I knew it worked. It was getting it to work for me. I failure is not in my vocabulary.
Hmm.
The fear of failure is out there. It hangs out here. Okay. But that's why I work extra hard to make sure that I don't.
Definitely.
It's one of those things. I opened up a metaphysical store 24 years ago in the buckle of the Bible Belt. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm still here and thriving. Okay.
Yeah,
So failure is just not, it's not in my vocabulary. And that's what I try to help other people to understand. Don't let failure, be your reason, or the fear of failure be your reason to not do it. Let it be your reason to prove that you can do it and you will do it.
definitely.
And then, and that's the thing. And that's why in some of my videos, I'll tell people, you know, what if you don't at least go look at this a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, all of a sudden you no longer have that job and you're going, oh my gosh, if I had done this however long ago, I might not care about this. So it's, sometimes you just have to take a chance. We take a chance on everything we do. every day we get out of bed, we take a chance we might trip and fall.
Hmm.
You know, we get in a car, something could happen.
Hmm.
You know, so when you look at it, that you take a chance every day, as soon as you open your eyes, why not take a chance on changing your life?
Absolutely. No, that's a golden nugget right there. I mean, that's beautiful advice, and I think
Oh,
it's going to resonate with a lot of people, right? It's just take a chance. Why
yeah,
not? What do you have to lose? So no,
right.
that's amazing. So I appreciate that. That was great, Sherry. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Well,
So,
thank you.
all righty, Sherry. Well, that is all the questions I have for you. I want to thank you again for hopping on the call with me. You're
Oh,
great. Like I
thank you.
said, you got this down right. You're personable. You're easy to talk to, inspiring, right? So I think you're doing all the right things and you're staying consistent with it, right? And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
all that you can ask for. It may not happen as quickly as you want it to or as quickly as it happens for others, but as long as you're staying consistent and you're plugging in, it's just going to be a matter of time before it happens to you. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all righty, Sherry, I will let you go and enjoy the
Thank
rest of
you.
your day. Thank you
All
so
right. And
much.
thank you for, hey, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
And nice meeting you.
You as well.